All right, guys, today's video is ammonium sulfate. So we're going to use basically a converted form of nitrogen that bacteria create and microbes, which is either a nitrate or ammonium. So I chose ammonium sulfate. And yes, this fertilizer is acidic, so if you do have high pH, I would recommend using that if you have to. Now, eventually the whole goal is not to use any more fertilizer for me. I'm trying to build the ground up through plant crop rotations. And then as the cycle kicks in and gets going, then it becomes a lot easier to rotate crops in and out of here all year long. So this soil up here is in desperate need of nitrogen, which I did put out my final synthetic bag, which had 12-24-24 in it. So I could tell that has helped up here quite a bit. The phosphorus level was in danger of being too low, and it was also being throttled by 5.3 pH. So it was functioning well below what it needed to be. And because now granted, I dumped synthetic on here, but I did temporarily boost the amount of phosphorus available to plants, and you're forcing more volume through that same pipe. So you're trying to maximize what flow you can get as long as your pH is bad. Now, eventually, what I want to do here is a totally different approach in fertilizing than the main plot. This is a much smaller plot, and I can do demonstrations up here. So I'll get into that later, but it has to do with the poll that I posted on about liming or raising pH. If you have not seen that, go to the post tab on my channel and you can put your vote in there if you want to, or even leave a comment on what you think works and doesn't. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and pump all this nitrogen up through the ammonium version. And the sulfate, the reason you see me on this sulfate run, I'm doing a couple of things here. Initially, sulfate will not will not lower your pH. But, here's your but, if you use large amounts of this stuff, eventually it will start changing pH. But I'm not using enough of this to affect pH. So when I'm applying it out there in the food plot, I'm actually not harming and making my pH worse. So the goal for next season is to start changing the pH as my budget kind of resets for the year. So right now, we'll go ahead and distribute this. What I brought up here is 10 pounds of this stuff, and I will broadcast this out over the plot. And this is also it's almost like a granular crystal. Almost looks like I'm using salt. It's not my typical really low grain. It's water soluble. So if you had a mixing tank, you could throw that in there and spray your food plots down with it. But we're going to try to boost these plants. So we have a bunch of small, scrawny plants, and we're going to get these guys functioning. Now out here, I can tell that fertilizer has changed the growth pattern, which we did finally get some rain. I want to point that out. I had over 1.5 inches, and now things are rapidly evolving in here. So another good rain will help with storage of water when this ground starts functioning better as far as holding water. But that's the goal. We want more nutrients up here. I'm trying to get faster growth, and nitrogen was really, really bad in this island. So the reason, other than the fact that I have low nutrition in here, what is the main reason or the properties of that nitrogen fertilizer? Well, I'm tackling two beasts at once. So what happens here is this will boost protein production in plants. This also boosts protein production in plants and other minerals. Sulfur or sulfate in this particular case can help with other mineral problems. And like I say, I'm going to do my own video later on this part, but that's your clue for right now. So I'm tackling a couple of things right now in this island that needs to be addressed. I have also applied this to the main food plot. I used 10 pounds of it, and I did distribute it some in section 3. There were a couple of areas there that was not doing as well, and they needed a little kick-me-start. I mean, it's not like the plants were like what you see here. It's just they were a little bit behind and didn't look as big or as vigorous. So that was approached out there. The vast majority of it either went into section 1 or to fix areas in my screen wall that was a little bit weak. So that's how I distributed out in the main plot. So here, this whole plot is going to get all of it. So we're going to boost protein production again and try with that sulfate to help boost these other minerals and give these plants a better shot at producing something. All right, guys, that's all I've got. This is kind of a short video, but there are other versions of nitrogen fertilizer out there. There's ammonium, like what you saw there. There's urea, there's nitrate, you take your pick. There's a lot of variant fertilizers available. And when we get to the liming, I'll show you the liming part of that as well. All right, guys, you all have a good day. Hope you like this video. Hit that like and subscribe button. It's time to get this plot to perform and work like my main plot.